All right, we are going to be getting started here soon. Just give me a second to finalize everything. Thank you all for tuning in today. And we talk about the five top reasons why your ads potentially aren't getting any clients and how to fix it. It's the important part is how to fix it. So we want to make sure we can start getting results. And I have my window view. You guys are able to use the chat. So feel free to let me know where you're tuning in from. Matt, CT, Siva. Matt, of course, I know you for a few years now. So although I don't know where you're tuning in from, but thanks for joining here today. Leverage the chat, guys. Chat with me, talk with me. But I have video and audio disabled, so um, you know, just in case. So yeah, if you can hear me okay, if you are able to see my screen, if you give me a thumbs up or drop a one in the comment, that way I can just kind of get rocking and rolling here. Anyone that starts to join, I will let them in as they request to join. And I know a lot of people have requested to for the replay. So if you're tuning in and watching the replay, thank you so much for doing so. I appreciate that. Jojo got me a one, so we're able to rock and roll here. Awesome, very cool. Thank you so much. So today the big topic today is again top reasons why your ads aren't getting clients and how to fix it. And I've been doing a lot of more consulting lately, and when I'm looking in ad accounts, when I'm looking at offers, looking what's being advertised, um, you know, I'm really starting to see a lot of commonalities and things that are avoidable with just a little bit more knowledge, a little bit of guidance as far as like, what can be done. We can actually turn things around and start getting better results. So I put this together in the hopes of, shedding some light and giving some insights on what can be done in order to generate better results. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a combination of talking on the screen. I'll also be sharing my screen, going in a little bit into the ads manager, taking a look at some various areas, things that can help you immediately right now. So for the next 35, 45 minutes, up to an hour, really, I have the Q&A time towards the end. Give me your undivided attention. I will really appreciate that. So without further ado, if we're ready to rock and roll, you guys leverage that chat. Let me know you're here. I'm not just talking to myself, but give me a 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you want to drop it there, just something so I can get a better idea of we're here, we're ready to rock and roll, so I can go. Siva, it looks like your audio is not connecting, so hopefully everything is okay in terms of being able to hear me. But nonetheless, we're gonna dive right in here. So the very, very first thing I want to talk about, again, obviously thank you guys for tuning in today. But the current state of Facebook advertising for coaches. And really the current state is just that it's become more of a competitive digital landscape, and competitive in a way where there are people who've been at it for quite a while who are more established and they can somewhat dominate the space, whether you're in health, wealth, relationship, and any of the sub niches along the way. There are individuals who are somewhat dominating the space, and it can sometimes feel like, who am I to start advertising? Matt, thanks so much for tuning in while you're working. I appreciate that. You get the replay too, so if you want to consume it again later. But it's become more and more competitive, and the thing is, Facebook advertising itself has evolved quite a bit from the original inception of Facebook ads to the changes along the way when iOS implemented changes, and so much has changed along the way. A coach who is a health coach, your primary deal is to help people with their health, their wellness, their well-being. To then learn Facebook advertising, it becomes a whole nother software to learn. It's like someone who really just has to go and you take a course on learning Photoshop or having to learn a website building platform. It's like you have to learn all these things in addition to now learning Facebook ads, and it can be a little bit overwhelming, a little bit taxing. And the other thing is that it takes money to really learn the platform. If you really want to truly learn it, you have to put money out there. And typically what will happen is that it'll come at a loss because guess what? You're putting money out there, but you may not know exactly what's going on. You're not getting anything back. So it's like it's an uphill battle somewhat. Okay. So that's like a big part of current state of Facebook advertising. And really what ends up happening is that there is a huge potential, right? So with the current state, there's still a huge potential because Facebook algorithm has access to billions of people across the entire world. So if you're only targeting US, that's a very small limited of, of course, in the multiple hundreds of million. But nonetheless, when you start going broader, you start accessing, and there's a huge potential as a coach in any niche to really generate a significant ROI, and also thinking of short-term and long-term marketing. Because again, advertising is a sublayer of marketing. And when we can look at this as a coach and say, you know what, hey, I want to get leads in the short term, sales in the short term, but I also want to position myself to have a long-term business where 12 months from now, the challenge I'm looking at is not lead generation, but it's like, how can I, deliver better my offer or spruce it up, because more and more people are joining my offer and I want to make sure I'm delivering a world-class experience. So now guess what? You become one of those people where others are looking like, wow, I'll pick on Matt here for a second, but Matt's a big dog in the space, and other people are looking at your ads again, copying and mimicking that, right? So that's the big opportunity we really have here at Facebook. So I'm going to dive right in and talk about the 5 reasons I've been seeing lately that is really causing people to not really get the results. And number one is a poorly defined target audience. And when I say poorly defined target audience, it goes in 2 ways, right? So number one is the actual target audience definition itself. Like, who are you trying to target? Who is your actual customer avatar? And then number 2, how we're actually, targeting this person on Facebook itself in the ads manager when we're setting up our ads, when we're choosing our audience criteria, is how we're actually, choosing that. Okay. So the very first one, right? So again, the problem, right? The client avatar. Often I see either it's too broad of a net or too small of a net. When you come to Facebook ideally in the trend they're going right now is they want you to be very broad. That's great for them and that's great for e-commerce because it helps to push it out more. But when as a coach, you do also want to have a niche, but also not too tight. So if your target audience is 35 to 40-year-old women, what ends up happening is that becomes too tight to where the cost per lead, it doesn't really make sense because it's too tight for Facebook to really show this to the big enough audience. So we have to also look at the avatar and can we expand that, right? Why not a 34-year-old? Why not a 41-year-old? And the thing is, what ends up happening is that it does play a big role in that you can expand it out a little more. So the solution, let go here. The solution really here is to, number one, take a look at your client avatar and do a lot of market research. I recommend getting on about 5 or 10 different calls with people to find out exactly what the audience wants, have it better defined, right? And now I'm going to actually hop into the ads manager and show you a few different things as far as setting up the audience. It's really quick here. Let me stop the screen share here, share. Let's go into this application here. Okay, perfect. There we go. So when we're creating an audience, we have 3 options: custom audience, lookalike audience, and saved audience. I'm not going to talk about customer lookalike because that's a separate whole in our conversation. But let's look at saved audiences here. And what's happening is one of the big things is there when you're setting this up, it says you can't use Advantage Plus audience, right? If it can't be used reach and frequency or especially out of category. Okay, so Advantage Plus, what this is basically saying, hey, don't choose anything at all, leave it as is, and Facebook, we're going to go ahead and we're going to find your audience for you. Okay. So it works amazing for businesses who if you have a very broad niche or you've been established for a while and your pixel has a lot of data, but when you're just hopping on, you're still trying to figure a little bit of this out, figure out which of the pools of audiences. On the very bottom left here, it's very sneaky. You don't really see it too much. You actually want to go to the original audience option. Now, what this now allows you to do, and let me point something out here. You see right here, minimum age. it doesn't give you the option to choose the age range. So what ends up happening is we're running an ad, and now, again, having a poorly defined target audience, Facebook is showing this to people who are either too young or too old, right? And there's no such thing as too young, too old. But I'm just saying, in terms of like actual audience targeting, we're targeting someone who's over 65 when ideally our program is designed for someone who's a different target audience age. We want to be able to very, very much so choose which audience we want. So we have to switch to the original audience, and now we're actually able to choose the age range and the gender. With that previous one for Advantage Plus, you really can't even choose the gender. You can give them, right? So this one right here is like optional. So you could choose this, and I have examples of ad accounts, and I've done videos in the past where I've shown like when you choose this, even though you choose women, it's still showing it to men, right? It still does it with Advantage Plus because their technology is automatically trying to find your audience. And then here's the one thing as a kicker, right? I have a client, she targets women, only women, and inadvertently set it up using Advantage Plus. And when you look at it, 50% of the ads are being shown to men, even though she selected women. So we have to really look and go into the original audiences, because in that case, what ends up happening is that while we can put our trust in the algorithm, at the end of the day, is not showing it to the right people. Okay. So the solution is to really switch to the original audiences. Again, have a great, really defined ICA. And when you're setting this up, to really choose, based off of that, the interest, the demographics. And this is a separate conversation to really even go into, because it's very deep as far as like individual, choosing the individual audiences where you can actually reach your ideal clients. So for example, if you were just to choose based off of browsing, if you were to browse what they have here, you're going to find limited options. But if you have the conversations like, hey, what kind of shows do you watch and magazines you may be reading, or, who do what kind of people do you follow? You may not be able to ask those questions directly, but be able to get those information through the conversation. You're not going to be able to know. So if someone's following John, like John Maxwell as an example, you can be able to target John Maxwell as an interest. You can see the audience size is 3 million, so you're more cater your ads. And for example, if it's health audience, if they're into yoga or something like that, you can now cater your ads a lot more specific, right? So so let me know if that's making sense to you guys. Drop me a 1 in the chat, a 2 or 3. Give me some kind of feedback there so I can know that, hey, this is resonating with you all, and that it's making sense so far, because I want to make sure that you're obviously getting value out of this. I'm going to go back over to my slides while I do that. Lost my chat box, by the way, so I can't even see the chat. I'll find that here in a second. I'm going to move on, but I'll pop to the chat here in a little bit of a second. But let me know if do you guys already know that? Is that pretty much common knowledge? What's been your experience running ads with your audiences? Would love to know. Just let me drop a note in the chat for me. So reason number 2, and this is a big one, is ineffective ad copy. So ad copy is super important because this is the messaging you're actually going to be putting out to the audience. And the algorithm nowadays is using a lot more of what you're saying in your ad copy, what you're saying in your video, to help you reach your ideal and your right client. So one of the big problems I see is very generic ad copy, to where it's not really pulling any kind of story, any information, or giving any kind of substance to who we're actually targeting on Facebook, on Instagram. So what ends up happening is we get a lot of poor quality leads. They may be cheap leads using short copy. This, I have a free training on your Akashic records on so and so date, and it's very attractive for someone who's in the spirituality, so they'll sign up. But when it comes down to now getting to actually know the person delivering it and want to take a next step action, finally they got just a whole bunch of cheap leads. So really, that's a really, really big issue, right? And one of the solutions around this is to leverage a better flow for your ad copy. And I want to just quickly share what that looks like, what it could be to actually have an ad copy flow. And this has been something that I've used over the past 5-6 years. I've been able to generate multiple 7 figures in sales for our clients using this exact same ad flow formula. So the ad flow formula goes like this. It's five pieces of it. 1 is capturing attention. Number 2 is relating to the audience. Number 3 is a shift, and I'll talk more about that in a second. Number 4 is just your actual solution. And number 5 is give them a chance to take their turn. So number 1 is capturing attention. Facebook ad copy, the first line of the ad copy, you have 125 characters to create before your ad copy goes into the little ellipses where they have to click see more. So this is a super important part because when someone sees your ad, they see three pieces of the ad. They see this first line. That's the very, very first thing they see, which is what we call the hook. They see your video or your graphic. And then number three is they see the headline. Okay, so what's really important is to make sure that we're having a strong statement to stop the scroll. This is where the market research comes in. What are the things that they're really thinking in their head that you can actually say to help them stop their scroll? Hey, are you feeling this way? Have you been on a journey of health and very catered 125 character, right? So it's a super important part to be at. The number two is relate. So this is really where you start relating to your ideal client. Whether you've been on this journey yourself or not, or if you've helped other people, they want to know like there's a little bit of trust as far as like, hey, why should I be listening to you? Why should I even be looking at this ad? But it automatically from the very beginning, this is your first net impression with someone. So the more you can relate to them, the better your chances are now of getting a higher quality lead that's going to convert down the line when they go to a webinar, they go to your thank you page for a tripwire, they buy your self-liquidating offer, they go into your funnel for your course. Whatever you're advertising, this is a really important piece because we want to relate to the audience because guess what? Facts tell, but stories sell, right? So we want to give that story in there. Okay. So again, you want to let them know statement to let your ideal client know you get them. So number three is a shift. So this is where you're letting your ideal client know how you've overcome this challenge or problem. Okay. So you're relating to them in the sense of, hey, I know this problem, I know this challenge, this is what it is. Now this is the shift. This is how this is how I was able to overcome for myself, how I was able to help my clients overcome it, whichever the case is. But you let them really what you want to let them know is that you've overcome a challenge and have paved the way for them. Like you've developed this path for them, proven effective, proven path, right? Like so myself, in my ad copy, I often look, when I first started, it was very ineffective to watch courses and try to do it myself because what happened is it's great. I can get things set up and I can know what to look for, but in the live of actually running ads, when the ads are running and the day-to-day of it, when things aren't converting or something's not going the way we intend for it to go, what ends up happening now is that, well, I'm like, okay, well, what do I do now? Right? If this ad it was converting 2-3 days ago, now it just totally stopped. What do I do now? And that answer was not in a course, right? So I often create custom programs where I coach. I don't create a course. I create a more of a program. So it just put that shift in there as far as how we help them overcome it. So this is how we pave the way for them. So now when you come across these issues, you're more empowered now to know what to do instead of just shutting off the ad and thinking, oh, it's just it's totally failed. I'm stuck. I got to go back to the drawing board. Not the case. Okay. So your solutions, where you share your solution with them, and that could be whatever this is whatever you're advertising, whether it's a freebie lead magnet like an ebook, a mini course, training series, a webinar, a masterclass, whatever the case is, or even if it's an SLO, a self-liquidating offer, a low ticket offer, whatever the solution is, this is how you're going to let them know what they're going to get access to. I mean, we give the deliverables or some bullet points to kind of pretty it up as far as like making sure that they know exactly what they're signing up for, what they're going to be purchasing. And then their turn. This is simple. Like there's 4 bullet points right here, but I'll sum this up in the sense of it's just a call to action. All you're saying is you're telling me exactly what you want to do. It's like, hey, click the link below to register for my free upcoming masterclass. That's really what it comes down to, right? But it's a super important part because often I see so many ad copy and this is not even there. There's no call to action. It's like, hey, we have this great ad copy resonating with our audience, but then, well, what do you want them to do? We have to tell our audience what we want them to do because that's where you're going to see the best conversions. Okay. So simple as that, having more effective ad copy will change how the audience responds to you. So if that's been helpful, drop a 1 in the comments for me. I'd appreciate that. I have totally lost my chat. I cannot find my chat. So if you're dropping ones or not, I can't tell, but I'll find it in a second. Pretty tech savvy. I'm going to hop back over to my slides because I want to see. I saw Pat looks like they joined us. Mary looks like they joined us. Thank you for tuning in today. Let me go back over to my slides here. Share. Okay. So number 3 is a poor landing page experience. And I see this very often, especially for ebooks and free downloads. Like someone's trying to rush going into into advertising it, and it's a bad experience. So the mobile view it doesn't really look good. Or if you look at it from the desktop, it's too much stuff. Like there's too much things happening or is a slow page loading experience. So these are a couple of the big problems here. When someone clicks on the page, we have to cater it to mobile. 90% or more of your traffic from Facebook is going to be going to. Thanks, Matt, for that confirmation there. So 90% or more of the people are going to be going mobile. So you want to make sure your ads, your landing page experience is mobile friendly. And one of the best ways to do that, I always say, is just to really look at how fast does your page load. In addition to that, what does it actually visually look like on mobile, right? So I have an example pull up. It's a random example. I'm not running this ad, but part of compliance is we can only share so much nowadays on these webinars, and I want to be mindful of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my other screen here really quick. I'm going to share this. I want to show you real quick. So this is just an example of a landing page, right? So one of the things you first notice is on this page is that there's actually no pixel on the page. Although ads are running, although ads are running to this offer, there's no pixel on the page. So that's a big problem. The reason why it's a big problem is that, how are you going to be able to track conversions? You can't. And it's going to run. So it could be doing amazing, but we won't be able to tell. The other thing is, how does this load? You see there's a lot of movement happening, and that potentially can make things a little bit tougher to on the actual page load speed. So we look at the page load speed here, and what I've first noticed is, boom, right off the bat, the performance is 39%. There's a lot of things happening. That's like there's total blocking time. It's just that all these scripts have to load, and while it looks great, like visually, it's like, man, this is really cool. It looks amazing. From an advertising perspective, what ends up happening is that this greatly affects how much we can actually convert, because now we get link clicks, but when we look at the link clicks to the landing page load, it can be a great barrier on that. Okay, so ideally we want to get this to be higher. We want it to be over 70, really, because sometimes it's depending on the platform you use, it could be just things that they have that you can't control. But get this over 70, because then it'll work out a little bit better. If you look at it on desktop, you can see, boom, it works great on desktop. But again, we want to go mobile first. Okay, mobile is more important than the desktop, because mobile is what's going to really help us to get better results. The other thing is, on your desktop, you right click on your computer and you go to inspect. You actually have the option to look at it from a few different options, whether it's iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy. So let's look at the iPhone, let's say 14 Pro. And you can see here that it looks pretty good. There's no issues. There's no like things that are overlapping or anything like that. So always check to see what your page looks like on mobile, either with this view or actually through looking at your mobile device. And that's going to make a big difference in having a better landing page experience. So ideally for your landing page, one of the things you want to look at is going to be, if you have a freebie, aims to get above 40% conversion rate, meaning that if you get 100 link clicks, 40 of those converted into a lead. If you're running a webinar, at least 25%, or like a live or masterclass, something like at least 25%. Live things are time bound, so there might be a specific date. So you're naturally not going to get a ton of conversions, right? Unless you make it loud and clear, like sign up for the replay, then you're going to get more. But ideally, you want the audience to show up live. Okay, so 25% or more conversion. So again, 100 link clicks, 25 people or more sign up for that. Right. All right. So let's go back into it here. Share this again. Okay. So the next few things right here, like I mentioned here, is just like ignoring, or I'm talking about mobile optimization. So totally just ignoring mobile optimization across the board. So this is now for the entire funnel. Okay. So when someone comes into the entire funnel, right, there is that initial point of just looking at the landing page. But when we're talking about neglecting the entire mobile experience, is what it actually looks like all the way across the board. What does the thank you page look like? What are the emails looking like? Someone pulling up your email in Gmail or Yahoo or Apple Mail or something like that. What does your emails look like? Is it very clickable? And it's often sometimes when we look at it, we can see that our emails are going into spam. One of the reasons why there's too much links, or it's just designed in a way where the email address is not from your domain, and it's going from like a different domain or something like that. So really optimizing your mobile across the board. And the reason why is because ads is on the front end. Ads could be doing their jobs. I just interacted with a client that I worked with back in 2021. And they were a little bit more, they were younger in their business. And we were generating a lot of leads on the back end. They were coming through, but we just weren't really seeing the conversions on the back end, right? And now there was a lot of things that needed to be done. Anyways, when our contract came to a close, they were just like, "Hey, it's not working out. It's fine, okay." We talked about the back end, and it is what it was. But recently, they were asking me like, "Hey, let's have a conversation again." They were like, "Hey, back in 21, I just didn't realize how good of a job you guys were doing. I didn't really understand fully how to really work the back end to convert those leads." And we're in a different phase now, a different stage now. So we just re-engage contract again because now there's been some optimizations and a lot of trial and error along the way, and they're ready to go back into ads now because they're a lot more confident in that back end ability. And part of that was really looking at making sure things were optimized on mobile and not just desktop. So you want to really look and see what you have going on. So the solution here is to really analyze everything you have using your phone. So anytime you build a funnel that you're saying, I'm gonna run this as an ad, before you start running it as an ad, look at it from your actual mobile device. Sign up for it. Look at the emails. Send yourself test emails. Look and see what they're looking like. Make sure that the email is being delivered is from your domain. Because what ends up happening is it's a shame essentially to run ads, to spend 500,000, 2,000 or more, depending, even $5 to obtain a lead. And they just end up, your emails, all your communication is just going into spam. Or you may neglect to turn off the double confirmation. And now more than 60% of your leads aren't even confirming just because they're not even realizing they need to. And you're losing a lot of that. These are things that can be avoided by just looking at and optimizing for mobile across the board. The opportunity here really is just to increase conversions, right? So it's not necessarily an ad thing, but I want to throw this in there. And the reason why is because it helps you see how well your ads perform, because it can be as easy as looking and saying, man, these ads aren't working. Facebook ads don't work for me, for my business. I'm going to shut it off. We tell our friends, I try Facebook ads, it don't work now. It's just one of those things where we miss the opportunity on Facebook, Instagram, Google. This can go anywhere. We miss the opportunity to be able to scale our business, because they always come to a point where you could do so much organically, but in order to truly scale, you need to go into paid traffic. All right. So let me go here now to the next thing, which is also another one that's very important, is lack of A/B testing. And I'll just talk about this. There's nothing really to share screen, but the big problem here is lack of A/B testing. And when I say A/B testing, A/B testing means we're testing to see how one thing performs over the other, how A performs over B. And this could be image and video. How does image performs over video? And there's a big lack of it. I've audited an account recently. I was auditing an account for a client. They were just like, "Hey, I work with this agency. We spent $50,000 on ad spend, and I was pretty confident because my past few webinars were doing really good. But when I looked at it, it was really just one campaign, one random broad audience that was open age range, and it was one ad, one image, one ad copy, one headline. That was it." Whereas all their previous stuff, so I don't know exactly what happened with that agency. From they were doing a really good job before, then all of a sudden for this opportunity with a big ad spend, they just totally dropped the ball. And that lack of A/B testing, regardless if you've had success in a previous webinar or not, you still need to be always A/B testing, meaning always running tests of videos versus images, different audiences. How does my video run with these 5 different audiences, right? Because now we can actually know what are the pockets of audiences within Facebook that's helping me to generate the biggest return on ad spend. And along the way, you're going to see which ones don't work at all. You can get 1,000 leads and they just don't convert. It just doesn't happen. It's just a phenomenon sometimes where it's like, I get all these leads, but they're not converting. You try a different audience, the cost per lead may be double. You get 200 leads and boom, you got 5 or 6 sales conversions on the back end. But you discover this by A/B testing, by testing it, because there's no, Facebook don't give you any data saying, hey, run into this audience because they're going to convert. They think they might give you an idea of like, hey, this is their estimated type of conversions, but they're not going to know what's going to happen on the back end. The only way to know that's by actually A/B testing. So the big solution here is to, anytime you're going into any campaign, whether you're spending $5, $10, or you're spending $20,000, $30,000 in it, always go in with it with the idea of I need to be able to test. Okay, the bigger the budget, you may need to be able to go from not just testing images, videos, headlines, and copy, but also moving to also testing landing page. How does landing page one perform over landing page two? And is there a certain audience that prefers landing page two and a certain audience prefer landing page one? Because you might discover that, um, you know, when we put a hook out there, for example, when we put like a hook, a piece of messaging, let's say there's 100 people in the audience, that hook is really going to capture a percentage of that, right? You're always going to have a conversion rate. It's very rare you see 100% conversion rate from an audience where you put an ad, 100% of people that click on it, they convert to becoming a lead, right? It doesn't always work like that because the hook is going to capture, it's going to speak to that percentage of that audience. So the more we're testing, the more we're putting hooks out there, we're actually capturing now a bigger percentage of that audience. Okay. So again, we established that by going through and doing A/B testing is super important. So these are the top 5 reasons that really, that I see really people are really kind of struggling with, that's causing their ads to not really perform, not really work in the way it's causing them to miss out on an opportunity to get more clients. And just a big, really quick recap is, poorly defined. Oops, let me go here. So poorly defined target audience, ineffective ad copy, a poor landing page experience, ignoring mobile optimization, and not just from the ad level, but just through the entire funnel. And then number 5, lack of A/B testing. And this could be done with, if you're working with an agency or doing it yourself, you might have enough time to actually A/B test and do all of it yourself. So it's really something that I guess too often ignored. Yeah, thank you, Siva. Yeah, definitely often ignored. That's the big thing. So hope it's been helpful to you. I want to share some examples of clients that we've worked with that we've gotten some results, great results for. So it was one right here, just one a recent launch, be about 15K in ad spend. Got close to 800 leads, but ended up converting $287,000 in sales. So it was about a 17x return on ad spend. Really great time promoting this offer. And like I mentioned, cost per lead is not a thing. We're not shooting for the lowest and cheapest cost per lead. We're looking for quality, right? Where a purchase is actually coming from. So you can see here, $39 cost per lead. Anyone will be like, hey, shut that off. But boom, 3 purchases. And this is for a high ticket $5,000 offer. So it doesn't, you can see the return on there is really, really great. One of my favorite clients, Karen, we worked with her since almost since I sort of started back in 2020. Started off with 2K ad spend. We grew to, actually, I have to update this because we actually grew to 55K ad spend now. And but the one previous launch we did was 1,400 leads, ended up converting $300,000 in sales, a huge 10x return on ad spend. So a really great time running these launches. And they're short and intense, but they're also super fun. If you have a membership, Ryan, we have helped him launch his membership. A little small, $3,000 in ad spend, over 250 leads generated, 25K in sales, 8x return ad spend. On my YouTube channel, got the full video of his experience working with us, his experience with that launch. So, if you're here, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop it in the chat. I'll be happy to answer it. And while we're waiting on questions, things like that, I just want to kind of share really quick that if you found this really helpful and you're looking to say, you know what, I really do think I want to start leveraging ads, right? I want to get into it, but I want to have a conversation first. So I'm inviting you to just to schedule your free Attract More Clients with Facebook Ads coaching call. This is going to be a real coaching call. It's not something where it's like of course I'll make you an offer to work with you at the end of it, but nonetheless, it's going to be an opportunity to really see what your business has and how you can leverage advertising in it. So if you want to, discover your unique client attraction formula, so we'll craft a customized Facebook ad strategy tailored for your coaching niche, guaranteed to help you get a steady stream of high quality leads in there. So of course we want to chat through that first because anytime I say, hey, you're going to get leads, we want to make sure that you have the things in place in order to do so. Okay. So you can book that by going to rphonething.com/start. The other thing is here, we want to definitely unlock just, the conversion secrets that I've developed with my clients over the years. So learn the exact techniques to turn cold Facebook traffic into eager premium clients who are ready to invest in your services. Some of the launches we run are as little as 17 days going to a cold audience, bringing them to a live conversion event and converting them into a high ticket offer in as little as 17 days. So there's a proven model to do that. And it takes a good partnership, of course, to execute that because it's very intense, very short, but very, very rewarding. My client Karen I showed, we do that all the time. It's a 17-day process. The other thing is here, of course, we're going to master the scaling blueprint. So you get a personalized roadmap to exponentially grow your coaching business, allow you to finally, if you're working at a job, you can have a path towards looking as far as like, hey, I now have predictability in my coaching business to allow you to potentially quit your day job and live the freedom lifestyle you dream for. That's part of my and JoJo's story, where when we started, Facebook has allowed us to really, in addition to all the organic marketing, allowed us to really leverage bringing in leads consistently and put that trust in there, knowing that, hey, if I was to leave my job, it's not even a problem of leads. Like that's not going to be an issue at all. So there's a big story there. It's on our website. Be happy to share that with you. So again, go to rphonetheSame.com/start and schedule that free call. But if you have any questions, go ahead and hit the raise hand, or we'll drop that link in the chat right here. But other than that, hope this has been very helpful to you. If I don't have any questions, I'm gonna end up wrapping it up. But I will give it a few more seconds here. I see Matt. I know you said you were working. Siva, I appreciate you giving me feedback on there too as well. But yeah, if you're on here, if you want to schedule that call, like I said, it's totally free. Find time on the calendar. It's a short little application, or just a little questionnaire, not even an application, so to say. It's a questionnaire to kind of let me get an idea of where you are in your business. And we can chat, we can have a conversation. But again, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you do book the call, if you're watching the replay, schedule that free call too as well. Limited time. I'm only going to be pushing that for the free coaching call for a short bit. But I would love to have a conversation and see how I can help you. But other than that, thank you all so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll talk again soon. All right. Bye-bye.